All right, so in this video, we will take a look at some of the basic transformations that Coupler offers as we look through one of use cases as an example. So as you can see here, I've loaded Google Ads and Facebook Ads into my data sources. We'll skip over the setting up the data sources part. We should be familiar with that by now. And the goal is to grab campaign performance from Google Ads and Facebook Ads, filter it out based on certain campaign names that I'm interested in, and sort it so that I always have the most recent data on the bottom of my Google Sheet in this example. So first things first, with Google Ads and Facebook Ads, the sources work a little bit differently. You'll see that in Google Ads, there are upwards of 100 columns that are extracted for a campaign performance report. So I don't need all of it for this case. What I'm really interested in is what I have here in Facebook. So my report date, campaign name, amount spent, clicks, impressions, and then I've added custom conversions into the mix. I don't want to see the value. This is not something that I track, but I do want to see the total count and then the cost per conversion. So first thing I'll do in the Facebook ads, and this is something that you can do on the data source level, is I can edit my columns. I can change their names and types. So in my case, I am okay with just having conversions total. That's all I truly need. And then in here, I will also say this is my conversions cost. Once I have this, I will go to Google Ads, and then I will also find these same conversion columns. So I've got my cost per conversion, which is named differently because that's how it comes back from the API. And then in here, I'll change it to conversions cost, so it's the same. And then instead of conversions, I'll just say conversions total. Now you'll see that from Google Ads, I have more columns that I don't really need. So I will go ahead and just go through the process of managing these columns and hide them. You can do this either on each of these columns individually, like this, or you also have a dedicated columns management window where you can hide it based on what's already selected. You can do hide all, show all. There's different things available for you over here. For my case, I don't have that many columns, so maybe I'll just go ahead and click them like this so that I don't forget, essentially don't forget to leave the columns that I'm interested in. So let's say for the sake of this one, I'm not interested in CPC or anything like that. Not interested in CTR as well. So right now I should have the same number of columns in both of the sources, 3, 6, 8, and then in here, I think there's one of them that I want, cost conversion. Oh, this one right here. So 7 columns each, and then since my goal is to have data from both Google Ads and Facebook Ads, first what I can do is filter out the campaigns based on some naming conventions. So in this case, if we look at the campaign names, let's say that I'm only interested in the tier 1 campaign. So my naming convention would always have tier 1, and that's what I want to have. So nothing that doesn't have it, I'm not interested in. So we'll do a filter. We'll say campaign name contains tier 1 and apply it over here on the Google Ads level. Now let's do something similar for Facebook Ads. In this case, let's say I want to have tier 1 and 2, and then also I want to have tier 3. So I will apply a slightly different filter where once again I'll have my campaign name contain tier 1 or 2, and I'll say or campaign name contains tier 3, just like this. As soon as I click apply, these are the only 2 types of campaign names that will be left in my data set. Next up, what I want to do is blend this together. Append is a bit more on the, I would put it in the advanced section of the transformations, but if you watched any of the other tutorials on the dashboards, should be pretty familiar with this. And then generally speaking, it literally stacks things one underneath another based on the column names. So I'll do a quick append over here. I'll only have 7 columns because my names match exactly from both of these sources. And then one of the other things that I also wanted is I always wanted to have my freshest data on the bottom of the list. So for that, I can do a quick sort based on the report date, so that I'll have my latest date first, and then the most recent date all the way on the bottom. One more thing that we might want to do in here is to also identify where this data is coming from. In my example, campaign name already has some sort of an identifier, but to make it easier on the eye, in each of the sources, I can also leverage a formula-based column to hard code something like a data source. This is one of the more, let's say, simple applications of this column. There are many more advanced things that you can do with it. We will have a separate dedicated video for it. But for now, let's say I just want to say that this data is Google Ads, and this data source gives us data from Facebook Ads. Okay, so I've added this column with the same name. And then in the append mode, I now have this new column in here that will tell me where the data is coming from. So sorting is applied, filtering is applied, append is done properly. That gives us an identifier. We have all of the metrics that we need. And then final step would be to simply push it into a destination. Let's say in my case, it's also Google Sheets. I will select the append, and then once again, just following through with the flow of the application. Let's say I put it in my revenue sheet in here. Let's say it's sheet 3, and then we click on save and run. So once it executes, we'll take a quick look at the file, and on a very high level, those are the basic transformations to keep in mind. In the next video, we will take a look at the more advanced applications of the formula-based column. We're also sharing videos with the append and join and aggregation transformations for you in separate tutorials, so make sure to watch those as well. All right, so now that the workflow executed, let's take a look at the final result. And just like we saw in the result of our transformations in the append, this is what we get. Data from both Facebook ads and Google ads combined, all sorted by date with all the metrics that we're interested in. Hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.